On everyone, this is your boy Shadow the Underground Gamer. I'm back again with another video, and today I'm here to do the real review to one of the most anticipated side-scrolling ninja games of the year, and that's this bad boy right here, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Now, before I get into this, I would like to do a breakdown summary of this game, and then I would like to make a few disclaimers because I have new subscribers onto my channel. So, the breakdown summary to this game is this. If you played Ninja Gaiden on the NES, then you should know that this one takes place during that time. The difference between the two is that Ryu Hayabusa flies to America to find an archaeologist named Walter Smith to start on his journey, whereas Kenji Mozu, a member of the Hayabusa clan, decides to stay in Japan to protect the Hayabusa village from the demons of hell. And he is joined alongside by Black Spider Clan member Kumori. So that's pretty much the breakdown summary of that. Now, here are the disclaimers. First and foremost, I'll call this a real review because I don't work for none of these companies like IGN, Game Informer, Gaming Bolt, GameSpot, none of these companies. So I call this the real review because I like to invest my time into these games, and I like to let you guys know if it's a hit or a miss. So if I feel like that it's a hit, this is something that you should definitely get. If I feel that it's a miss, definitely something you probably don't want to check out. Now, you're more than happy to make your own choices with your money. Do whatever it is that you want with this review. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you like it, you like it, whatever the case is. But I'm not going to sell you something that is not hot when I believe it's not hot. Like, I'm not going to tell you that something's hot and then it's not. Like, because if you looked at some of my other videos, if you remember my old channel or something that I want to talk about, my old channel, there's a couple of games that I have done reviews on. And I was doing reviews on that channel for a while. My very first game I did a review on was Resistance 3. I've only played that for like an hour and some change to about 2 hours. And then I finally did a review on that, and I thought that game was hot. It was a hit. And although it was only a few hours, I gave it a solid 10. And the crazy part is I stood by that because playing it for a few weeks, stuff like that, nothing changed on it. In fact, the game just got better. So I stuck with that rating. Now, when I did my real review to Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, I gave that game an 8.5. And the reason I gave it an 8.5 as opposed to IGN and Game Informer at the time was because I thought, hey, they're being a little too harsh on this game. They should give it a chance, right? I felt like at the time they weren't giving these games a chance. So I turned around and got the game, got to play it with my sister and a couple friends of ours. And to me, the game, it looked good on paper on my end and everyone else's end. But then I started seeing a couple of things that was wrong with it, and I pointed some of those things out on the review that I did, which led it to giving me the 8.5. But then as I started playing it more and more and more, I started to see why IGN gave that game the rating it gave it. So at that point, I started to push that rating down as I started playing it more and more. Because even with all the updates, none of the bugs were fixed. The gameplay the experience just got worse. And it just wasn't one of those games that it could have been contender of the year. But I felt like they just had to bring something out because, they were working on Resident Evil 6 and, they're just like, yep, here we go. We're just going to rush this out before we get Resident Evil 6. and that game was not good. I pushed my rating back to a 4. So I had to agree with IGN on that one. My next review I did was Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel. Now, me personally, being the Army of Two franchise fan, I thought um, I thought for sure that Devil's Cartel was going to be good. You know, you had celebrities like Big Boy and B.O.B. in the game, selling the game with their music. So I just thought, man, this is going to be a hit right here. Well, that game was not a hit. I gave it an 8, and again, IGN gave it a 5, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And again, you know, I just felt like IGN and Game Informer stuff, I just felt like they were being too harsh on the game. It's like, are you guys really even giving this game a chance? And, you know, to be fair, I see why they gave it the score they gave it. So when I tried it and I had the game, I wasn't a fan of what they did with it. Personally, I felt like this could have been a lot better. And, you know, for me, I felt like the lack of selection of characters, you know, how you, whatever character you started off with, like it was just, it was trash all around. And then, you know, playing through it after I did my review, again, started pushing my rating back. And it got to the point where I was just like, you know what? This is exactly the reason why you don't get every game out there on the market. This game is not great. I mean, it's not great. The way it was made, it was just one of those that they could have done so much better. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? Again, I got to agree with the gaming sites. So I got to the point where I was super selective with the games that I was getting. I was getting there before, but then that one really made me get there because it was to the point where games would look good on paper, but man, but the execution, the execution was not great. Like they had the right idea with a lot of these games, which made it look good on paper, but the finished product slash the execution was trash. So it just made me realize, you know what? I can't be sold by everything. And so again, I had to agree with IGN on that one. Now, the reason I do my own little reviews on these games and stuff like that is not because I'm calling IGN or none of these companies' reviews fake. They're not fake at all. But the problem I have with their reviews is that they tend to give good games bad scores and bad games good scores. And I just feel like that if you're gonna have a reputation of doing that and you expect people to take you serious, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, no one's gonna take you serious. It's part of the reason why I started doing my own thing. So now let's get right into this, shall we? Now, to all my OG subscribers, you know how I like to discuss things on my real review. To my new subscribers, I like to talk about things I don't like about any of the games, and then I talk about things I do like about these games, and then I like to give my final verdict as to whether or not it's a hit or a miss. So, with that, we're going to get an in-game review. Now, first things first, let's talk about things I don't like. Number 1, no pre-order bonuses. Now, you have a rival game that's getting ready to hit the market within the same time frame that you are about to hit the market. Now, you have your reveal trailer. Okay, fine. You didn't have to announce it on a reveal trailer. But when you have the release date trailer, why not announce pre-order bonuses at that? For me, I feel like that's kind of a big deal, and it's a slap in the face of Ninja Gaiden fans because, again, your rival game getting ready to come out around the same time, the same year as you should have a little something, right? So, why not? Next, what I don't like is the cutscenes. And there's two things I don't like about these cutscenes. One, no motion in the cutscenes whatsoever. Now, as you can see, Ryu Hayabusa's dad, Joe Hayabusa, you see he's writing a little note, right? But there's no motion to it, right? Which is something I don't understand, because if you watch the trailers to Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, you would think motion, right? It had motion in the trailer for cutscenes. Why not carry that same thing here? Number two, no voice acting. Again, you got your rival game coming out. Why not bring voice acting here? I understand if this was something like, let's say, Nintendo DS, or heck, maybe somewhat PlayStation 2 or Xbox. Hell, I'll even let you get away with it if it's PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. But you're talking about PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, Xbox One series, stuff like that. What were you thinking? That's how I feel about that. Next, what I don't like, and this is subjective to a lot of people, but me personally, I don't like the pixelated graphics. Now, again, if this was PlayStation 2, maybe PlayStation 3, or if this was a mobile game, I'd let you do away with that. Or even NDS, Nintendo DS, you can do away with that, right? Again, current gen, next gen consoles. You could have done a little bit more of a graphic detail for this. This reminds me of Legend of Kage 2 on NDS. That's exactly what this reminds me of. And this is why I don't really like the graphics too much. Now, am I saying the graphics is bad? No, I'm not saying that they're bad, but they could have chose better graphics for this. That's my opinion. Because as you get, look at the background here. The background, it's like there's like no life in the background, if you know what I'm saying, right? Next, what I don't like is what you're seeing right here. So there's no no combos here. You know what I'm saying? Like no combo setup, no move set, none of that stuff. So this is the only way you can swing your sword. Left, right, left, right. No combos. Now, is that the biggest of deals? I'm not going to make it a big deal because, after all, this is Ninja Gaiden. So, Ninja Gaiden was not known for the combo system before the one that came out on Xbox and all these other systems. So, when you have a side-scroller like this, I'm not going to make the biggest of deals out of it. Now, they could have added a combo setup to this, or combo system. They didn't do it. It's Ninja Gaiden, so I'm not gonna really drag them through the mud on it. It would have been nice. Next, what I don't like is there's no ninja gear. So what I mean by that is there's like no claws, you don't have a glider, you don't have any of that stuff, right? Now again, it's not a big deal, but it kind of is a big deal. Because I feel like, okay, you play Ninja Gaiden on the NES. I mean, yes, obviously you don't have the glider, stuff like that. But you don't have kunai or any of your other special tools that you had on Ninja Gaiden, on any of the Ninja Gaiden games. Like you have Ryu Hayabusa who can throw ninja stars and stuff like that at enemies at will and stuff like that. So that's something else I don't like. Next, what I don't like is there is no ninja magic. And the reason I say ninja magic, I don't like, because if you look at other ninja games, again, the rival game, I don't want to mention it right away. They have ninjutsu magic, right? So you would think, okay, maybe let's bring that here, right? Now, is that the biggest of deals? So. It's subjective to the person. Average person is not going to really care about that. But, you know, when you got a guy like me, or if you got a gamer like me who looks into these kinds of things from another game and stuff like that, you know, you want to be able to top that game. You want to be able to beat a better game out of the two, right? That's something that's how I feel about it, right? And the other reason I don't like the graphics, I forgot to mention. So, okay, so for an example, look at this here. Okay, so you can see your enemy's eyes, right? But if you look right here, until you look at the health and secret arts bar or Ragebound bar, you don't see your character's eyes. So that's something else I forgot to mention about the graphics. But now back to what I was just talking about, the ninja magic. Ninja magic is not here. Again, it's not a big deal, but it kind of is a big deal if you really think about it. But it is what it is. So next, what I don't like about this is there's no double jump. But there is something that makes up for that double jump, which is what I'm going to talk about when it comes to the things I do like about this, right? So before I show you that, I'm going to show you what I mean. So you have Kenji Mozu, the main guy who's protecting Japan, the one I was just talking about, as far as him and Ryu Hayabusa going their separate ways on their separate adventures. So this is Kimori, right? Kimori's throwing the kunai, not Kenji Mozu. Something I don't like, but it's not the biggest of deals. Next, what I don't like about this, and this is the final thing I really do not like about this game, and criticize me all you want, whatever the case is, but what I don't like is this game is just straight to the point. It's not Metroidvania type of thing. Now, I'm not going to make that a big deal because, again, it's Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. It's Ninja Gaiden in general, so it's not really technically meant to be Metroidvania, you know, to say the least, right? So that's something that I don't like. Now, let's get right into the things I do like about this game, right? We're gonna pick a different level. So this is gonna be one of the things I do like about this. Two things about this. The first thing I like is the map. And there's two reasons I like the map on this. One, you can go back to a mission to do some collectibles that you may have missed on your first run. Two, you can build up your ranking system. For an example, so you see as I got rank A, if I want to try to get up to rank S, I can go back and challenge myself to get the S rank. That's number one. Number two, what I do like about this map also is that you also have secret ops maps. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the details here. So the scroll here, if you find the secret area where the scroll is at right here, you activate a secret ops mission, and you have 8 in total. And the more you find, the more difficult they become. So as you can see, this lab stronghold is the most difficult, and trust me, it was very difficult. So the next thing I do like about this is the one-hit kills on small to medium-sized enemies. Now, that's something I really do like about this because, you know, without the combo system, when you have small to medium-sized enemy, it's going to help you out a little bit. But with larger enemies, it's going to take a little more than just one hit. You're going to obviously have to hit them like 5 to 6 times, which is going to lead me to the next thing I like about this. So, and I'm going to talk about that here in a moment. So, next, what I like, as you just seen here, is the hypercharge. So when you, let's say, for an example, the enemy that I just hit has a purple aura around them. If you hit them with Kumori's kunai or spider weapon, whatever, you get the hypercharge, which means enemies like this, you can kill them with one hit at this point. So that's something I really like. Next, what I really like is the jumping system, that guillotine boost. Now, although it does not have a double jump, you have a guillotine boost, which also what I like to call the leapfrog. And you have unlimited amount to do that on enemies. So let's say those 2 enemies I jumped on. If there's another enemy, I can do the same thing on them. And I can just continuously doing it. And this also helps you get to certain areas that you can't get to. That's another thing I like. Next, what I do like is the Ragebound arts. Now, the Ragebound arts on here is really insane. And the talismans as well. I'm going to show you the Ragebound arts here in a second. So, the Ragebound arts is practically like magic, but what it does is like you can have her shoot out kunai, or you can have Kumori heal you, right? So that's one of the few things I really like about this. So the next thing I like, I'm going to return to the map here. Next thing I like is that you have a store on here. So the store, again, as I just mentioned, you have things like secret arts and talismans. Kinjimozu has the talisman. He has the dragon talisman, whereas Kumori has the secret arts. And the secret arts is your Ragebound arts right here, where if you want to, what I just did, you can have kunai barrage, healing fountain, which creates a sphere around the person, around Kenji, and heals him on sight. You have a spider stopwatch, which is gonna freeze enemies within a period of time, and stuff like that. And then your spider weapons, you have the Seeking Tessin, which is the fan that you just seen me throw a couple minutes ago. You have all kinds of things here, like the Kusarigama, the umbrella shield, stuff like that. And then talisman. This is something that for Kenji. So for an example, Traveler's Blessing. If you get to a checkpoint, let's say you're low on health, and you get to a checkpoint, your health gets completely restored. And then Blood Frenzy is when you get 3 or more kills. If you get 3 kills, you have what that does for you is you start building your health back little by little. So for an example, as you can see, you recover health each time an enemy is defeated, and the kill streak has to be at least 3. And that's what I really like about this. Next, What I like about this is the story behind this. And I just mentioned it. This story takes place during Ninja Gaiden on the NES. That's the next thing I really like. Next, what I like about this is the challenges. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here in just a second. Let me select another mission. I'll select this mission again. As a matter of fact, let's go to the map, and I'm going to select one of my favorite missions here. This is going to be a secret ops mission. So you're going to see the challenges here, and this is what I like about the maps and stuff like that, the map selection and stuff like that. So here you go. Challenges. That's the next thing I like about this game. Now, challenges, they can go from being difficult, they can go from being easy to difficult. So as you can see here, the challenges here on this secret ops mission, for an example, is to finish the level without dying, kill 70 enemies, which is not hard at all, finish the level without dying, that can be a little difficult, take no damage in Kumori's section. That one is very difficult. I'm gonna admit that it took me a few tries. In fact, it took me about 10, 15 tries to finally complete Kumori's section without taking any damage. Now, the thing with that is, it's not just these challenges that you have to worry about here in the middle, but you see where they have the little crowns on here, right? That's the other challenge. Those are the other challenges. So when you complete those challenges within, let's say, a time, or you get more than 87 kills, or you get more than 44 chain kills, stuff like that, it helps your ranking system and all that jazz. So that's the next thing I really like about this game. Next, what I really like is the different enemies that you face off against. You don't just face off against demons here. You face off against the CIA, the government, because you start to find out things about the government on these secret ops missions that you never thought that you would find out on this game. Last but not least, what I really like about this game is the costume selections. So the costume selections only come after you beat the game, which also activates a new game hall. So that's the last thing I really like about this. So I'm going to show you what I mean by the skins. So as you can see, I did beat this game not too long ago, and I ended up unlocking a new fit for Kenji and Kumori. So as you can see, I got the classic ninja outfit, which you also do see in like the little cutscene, or not like the cutscene that I showed you earlier, but like when they're talking to each other, you also do see that when they're talking to each other. So you see what they're equipped it with. They're equipped it with and stuff like that. So here's that's Kenji, and this is Kumori's outfit change, right? So this is her original, and then you have the black spider uniform, and then you have the biker style. So that's something I really do like about this game. So overall, there's one final thing that I want to mention on this, and I do apologize. The final thing that I want to mention is the blood and gore on this. The blood and gore on this is top notch for a 2D game, and here's why I say that. So although I don't like the pixelated graphics too much on this, when you kill enemies and you cut them in half or whatever on this, and you're near a wall, you'll see blood splatter on the wall. That's something else I really, really like about this game. So, overall, what do I think about Ninja Gaiden Ragebound? Now, I did mention there was a couple things I didn't like, and some of those things were a big deal, but most of it was not the biggest of deals. Because a lot of the things, they always say either the pros can outweigh the cons, or the cons can outweigh the pros. And I feel the pros on this game outweigh the cons. So overall, for the price tag that this game is asking for, which is about close to $30 after taxes. That's another thing I like about this. Is this game a hit or a miss? I'm going to tell you right now, for the price tag that they're asking for this game is definitely a hit. So from a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this game a solid 9. This game is a hit. So there's a couple of things that I feel like that this game could have that could make me upgrade my rating. It could make me update my rating and stuff like that. Maybe some extra DLC could come around, and maybe that can help me change my rating if it gets a little better with the updated DLC and stuff like that. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. This is your boy Shadow the Underground Gamer, and with that, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.